We talking rom-com, we talking action, we talking drama and movie classics. Whatever you want, yo, we have it, cause we talking movies on a podcast. So I married a film critic. So I married a film critic. So I married a film critic. Hey honey, I just want to talk about the movie like casually. You don't have to bring up the cinematography. Honestly, let's just talk about like how the characters were fun. Married a film critic. So I married a film critic.
Welcome to So I Married a Film Critic. I'm your co-host, Julia, and here's the film critic.
Hi, I'm Barry. My poor wife is married to a film critic.
So we decided to do a quick little podcast that may turn into more than one about movies that we watch together and if we like them or not.
Yes, and let's start at the very top of cinematic greatness. Let's begin with the 1986 BMX classic, Hal Needham's Rad.
His name is Crew.
Hey, good looking.
BMX is his world. Rad is his way of life.
The world would be a lot better off without kids.
We're here for the biggest and most important bicycle motocross event ever held, Hell Track. This is a very important race. The very finest riders in the country are here riding for some $100,000.
Hell Track in this here town. They've got to be kidding. This is a joke.
I really think I can get this one. I think I've got a chance.
I don't want to hear any more about it.
Everyone's on his case.
Get that. The paperboy thinks he's a pro.
He's nothing next to Bart Taylor.
He's got the style,
There's something about the way you ride so naturally.
and he's going to prove it.
I've never seen such raw determination and talent in one kid.
Against the factory hotshots.
Looks like the local yokel's gonna race after all.
It's going to take a miracle to beat this guy.
Against the big money fixers.
All you have to do is take out that kid.
Against impossible odds.
You scared now?
This guy doesn't even stand a chance.
Yeah.
He's going for it all. Rad.
Rad. Raise your hand if you've ever even heard of this movie, because I've never heard of this movie.
For a fun fact, Rad is short for radical, not radiant. Radical.
Wow.
Radical racing.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for that bit of history.
Just in case. I mean, the youngins listening to this, they probably don't use the word rad or radical in their everyday vernacular. So
Okay. Well, as a born and raised Californian, I'm very...
this is your language.
Yes. Very well versed. Okay. Babe, why don't you give us a little plot synopsis of Rad?
Rad stars Bill Allen playing a character named Crew. Crew is a USA Today delivery boy. This is what he lives for. This is his life. He lives in the small town. He delivers USA Today with a great deal of passion, and the town folk really dig it. It's clearly that kind of a town. And a evil developer comes to the town with this thing called Hell Track, which is this BMX-sponsored event in which young bikers get to prove their mettle, win a ton of money, and basically a whole career as a BMX biker professional. If they are able to basically go on this thing called Hell Track, this Mad Max level BMX tournament, and win. So the movie is kind of set up to be like the Karate Kid with BMX bikes, because it is about how the underdog who is being raised by a single mom is raising this boy, and the mom, by the way, is played by Talia Shire of Rocky fame. By the way, she also helped produce the film. And the young boy Crew basically has to choose between listening to mom or, basically try to becoming this BMX legend, which he's already on his way to doing. There's an evil crew in the town of BMX bikers, and kind of the one in the middle who helps him is played by Lori Loughlin. She's the love interest, and also a bike guru who helps Crew become truly rad.
Wow. I think you may have oversold this movie with that synopsis, because you make it sound way better than it is.
Well, let's talk about what works, and let's talk the very top of it. The movie opens up with this opening credit montage of guys just like spinning on bikes. They're just like they're bouncing around on wheels,
using them like pogo sticks.
That's exactly what it looks like. And it's a long opening montage. I love these. It's very akin to the opening montage of Flight of the Navigator, where it's just this nonstop medley of dogs hungrily searching for frisbees as they get thrown in the air. It's very similar here. It just goes on forever, but it's really hypnotic, and it's very well cut and put together. All of the montages in this movie, and there's lots of them, are very well cut together. Whenever this movie is about plot and character, that's when the editing sucks, because there's a lot of scenes that are just, they're cut in ways where you have a character enter a scene and you think, oh, that guy's gonna have a line, oh, that character's interesting, and they cut to somebody else. It happens so often, it becomes the film's signature style. It's
very awkward moments with people just looking at each other, nodding, and walking away.
Yeah, and no follow through. Like, I wonder if this movie was originally like 3 hours long, and they're just like, let's cut that. That scene sucked. That scene had no point, because all of the bike scenes are like these really well sustained sequences. But whenever it's about building character, or these characters, or just two people in a room talking to each other, the film really comes across as like really amateurish, I think.
I agree. But it is really fun in the sense that it is unintentionally hilarious.
Yes.
And that's something I learned from the film critic, you guys, that movies that are unintentionally hilarious are very fun to watch.
Yeah, I think in this movie you have to ask kind of like what I like to ask, basically two questions: what the film is about, and does it achieve its goal? I think those are two very basic questions you should ask every film, and I think that's kind of the barometer of whether movies are good or not. Because this movie, like, does it achieve its goal? Is it a rad BMX biker movie? Absolutely, it's cool. It's fun. You could really watch it without the sound off. That actually probably make it a lot better.
Probably be better.
Much far better film. But on the other hand, what is this movie about? I mean, there's this really weird thing where it wants to be about Crew overcoming the life that he's living in this town. Apparently, you could only deliver so many issues of USA Today to the town folk. So he's been pressured by his mother, played by Talia Shire, to take the SAT, and there's no follow through. That's the thing that really puzzled me, because she's not saying like, go to college and become a botanist or whatever it is. No, it's just like, I really need you to take the SATs. I need you to get that number 2 pencil and go in there and fill in those circles, because if you don't do it, you're never going to leave this town like me. And I'm thinking, like, that's really it. It's like, you have to take the SATs.
Yeah, and he says, Mom, I can take them in 6 months. And that's where he leaves it.
Yeah, and I love the point that you made while we were watching the movie, because you're going like, in 6 months he's going to be on tour. He's going to be a celebrity. He's not going to want to come back to this town like, Mom really wanted me to take the SAT, so I'm just gonna ditch the BMX tournament and the photo shoot, and I'm just going to come back and I'm take the SATs.
And SAT testing, I mean, it happens all year round, so it's really a moot point.
Yeah, it's funny that so much it's a huge plot point, because it's the only conflict, because there's no conflict between the so-called evil bikers who are
there's
really...
a conflict. Well, we should get into that, because Crew decides to do the race, like to get into the preliminaries, right? He goes to the preliminary race, and it's hilarious because he has to do this track like 5 or 6 times. So you're watching him exhaust himself, and other people are getting out of the race by like going off the track and flying into the lake, and that's really funny. But then once he gets into the race, the bad guy keeps telling him that he needs a sponsor. He doesn't have a sponsor.
I see what you're saying. Because this is weird, because I really focused on the young teens, because this movie is made for young teens. And the young teens in this movie don't really register. There's a couple of twins who kind of like do the Snidely Whiplash thing, and then they walk out of frame. It's a very poorly staged movie, which is weird, because Hal Needham, the director, is a former stuntman who made like Cannonball Run 1 and 2. He's not really good at putting people in the frame. Great with bikes and cars, but not really people. But Jack Weston plays the villain, and Jack Weston, God bless him, most people know him as the Catskills club owner in Dirty Dancing. He seems completely snookered during this movie. Every scene he seems completely...
He was just drunk the whole time.
Yeah, I was trying to use a nice word, but yeah, he completely violently intoxicated in every scene. He slurs his words, his face looks typically red. He doesn't seem to have good timing with his co-stars. It's very amusing to watch, but he's not really a very threatening villain. You really kind of want like a Jack Palance type, or even like Gary Busey, but this is Jack Weston, who's like a sweet old man trying to be like a evil, like snidely Whiplash villain. So yeah, the conflict you're talking about, he's basically wanting Crew to sell his soul. But I don't know, I didn't even feel any kind of tension, because Crew is clearly like the greatest BMX biker racer in all of cinematic history. So it's not like he even needs this hell track crap anyway.
Right. But he has to overcome the sponsorship situation, and then they make up another rule where he has to sell so much money. And so the town people have to come together and support him. And it's really ridiculous.
Yeah, I think they're trying to make a message about not selling out, which is funny for a movie that is basically a long commercial for USA Today and BMX biking. I mean, it's like it's such a corporate film to begin with, but they're trying to make this statement about like staying true to yourself. And the whole thing of like it taking place in a wholesome all-American town, I don't think really works, because the town folk are bizarre.
It doesn't make sense that they would even want to have this hell track at this town. It really doesn't.
It does. Yeah.
I don't even know why they picked it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just that it's a podunk town. I mean, just like, you all remember the town in Footloose. Like this town isn't even that well organized. There's all these town hall sequences which are badly shot and staged, and it just seems like. It just seems like these people don't even seem capable of protesting one way or the other, like whether they're like anti-hell track or pro-hell track, if that's even a political stance in this town.
Yeah. I think we should talk about the love story, though.
That's truly the heart of the film, although it doesn't make a lick of sense. So Lori Loughlin is, what is she?
I don't even know, but she comes to town. Yeah, she comes to town with the hell track people and the pro bikers, I guess, and she's a pro biker herself,
right?
But she's not a part of the hell track team because she doesn't actually ride in hell track.
I think there's a subplot that probably got cut where she used to be the girlfriend of the main quote unquote evil biker or something, because she has like a Miyagi like sense of BMX biking. She's crazy smart when it comes to all things BMX. She goes on a BMX bike, and one of her introductory scenes is she flies through the air. She flies over a Crew, flies over him through the air. That's like her introductory scene, and he's just like, wow, I've never seen a woman like that before, and all the townsfolk hate her. But that's her introductory scene, and she's like, she's a guru, so clearly she's well matched to our hero. But it doesn't, what school did she go to?
It doesn't even matter. It's weird. But then, so all the BMX bikers from out of town end up at this school dance.
Yes.
And she sees Crew doing his like bike pogo stick move. And she says, follow me. And they go into the school gym. And he doesn't even know what she's doing. All of a sudden, they're bike dancing to Send Me an Angel.
By Real Life. This song has appeared in the movie Rad, The Wizard, and Teen Wolf 2. Truly a perfect storm, a trifecta of bad cinema right there.
And you guys, they play the entire song with Crew and Lori Loughlin's character, whatever her name is. They play the entire song, and they're just kind of moving in slow motion, standing on the bikes.
It's amazing, because they're not just dancing with the bikes, which sounds as ridiculous as it really plays. Like, they're doing it in slow motion. They're standing on the seat of the bike, using it like a surfboard, and they're not
like
crashing
into anyone.
A foot
on the seat and a foot on the handlebars.
It's insane.
It makes no sense.
It's great. It's like you've seen this in movies where they do this like on motorcycles and horses. But in this film, they're doing it on a BMX bicycle.
That's barely moving.
In an auditorium, like during someone's prom. It's nuts. It's crazy. And it's a long scene. It feels long. Because
the song is 4 minutes.
Because not only is the song long, but the scene's in slow motion. So, the movie just kind of stops. I think they realize, this is it, man. This is what people are going to remember about this movie. And they're right. Because, I always say, if you're looking at a movie, if it's a bad film, try to find the irredeemable moment, the moment where the movie can't possibly save itself from. This is the case, but, it is the best scene in the movie.
And it happens early on.
Yes,
I feel
it does.
Yeah. All I remember saying to you is, wow, they played that entire song. They really did it.
Yeah. And, I grew up with the song. I love that song. But, it's... This movie has forever ruined that song for me because I'm always going to think of Bill Allen riding his bike with one leg on it, the other leg sticking out, and he's like looking at the camera, like smiling. It's
so cheesy.
It is the height of cheese, folks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I also say really quickly, as kind of an aside, but something I thought of the entire movie was that I think this movie oversells how cool people look on BMX bikes because you look really dorky because, when you're on a bike, you have the handlebar and it's going back and forth. So you got like this doing, and when you're pedaling really fast, you look really dorky. It's not like being on a motorcycle. You look freaking cool because you're just sitting there with your glasses on, your jacket. These people look like dorks.
They look really dorky.
Like, let's go biking. It's really stupid. Like, you can't look cool. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't look that cool. Okay, unless you're C. Thomas Howell in E.T., it just doesn't look cool to be like biking and thinking it's this cool.
Well, I just remembered the scene of Crew and the police officer.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know what this scene was about.
Yeah.
But Crew sees the motorcycle cop and just sort of looks at him, and they like nod to each other.
Yeah.
And then Crew takes off into this lumber yard, and they have like this cat and mouse chase, and somehow Crew gets away, and then the police officer is just kind of like, he did it again. Like,
it's pretty insane because there's no establishing who this cop character is. My theory is that it's Crew's father, that he didn't want to like be there for Crew, so he's like, I'm going to be a cop because I can't deal with your mom. She's always bugging me about the SATs. So he's to like spend time with his son in the morning. He chases him on his little motorbike, and he chases him through this wood field. And like Crew, I mean, you're not kidding. Like he's on a wood pile. I mean, this wood pile is like what, 2 stories high?
He's up on these huge logs. Like one log moves and he's dead.
It's a death scene, right? But instead, he's Crew, so it's no big deal for him. He does this every day, and the cop's like, that darn kid, I'll save him tomorrow, son.
It's ridiculous.
It's crazy. Yeah, and it happens early. There's no life in this town except for the life of the young people. I can dig that because it's a movie about young people, but like there's so much emphasis on the cop. Talia Shire is barely in this movie, which is bizarre, but like we get a lot of Ray Walston as the kindly old codger who's always riding his bike. It's like, was he the first rad person in this
coffee
town?
in his hand?
With coffee in his hand that's always getting spilled. It's like, you gotta do something about that. Yeah, it's crazy. This movie wants to make the town like lovable and wonderful, but it's one of these things where, the slick city slickers come to this town, and you wonder like they're just gonna like eat these people alive because these town people don't seem like they're capable of overcoming the corporate giants of Hell Track.
Another silly thing about this movie and Crew's relationship with Lori Loughlin is that at some point he shows her like a really great day and he says, let's go ass sliding.
This is what? This is ass sliding.
I have a dream, and it's probably crazy, but crazy is nothing.
And I gotta say, it's an opportunity missed that she doesn't go, is that a euphemism for something? And sure enough, they go down. I mean, what is it? It's like a water. It's like a sinkhole. They slide down.
No, it's not a sinkhole.
What is it? It's like an actual slide.
It's like a cement aquifer or something. That water goes down into this lake.
But we call it ass sliding.
Yeah, and they show them going down. Again, falling into water, which seems to be a theme. And then they show it again in slow motion.
Of course, because what the movie's like, even with end credits, it's like, what, maybe 79 minutes long, maybe?
I feel like it would be 50 minutes if they had no slow motion.
Well, if there's no montages, I mean, this movie would be like, what, 28 minutes, maybe?
Yeah.
There's so little plot here.
So they go ass sliding, which we're supposed to find charming?
Endearing.
Yeah.
Adorable.
Radical.
Radical.
And then at the end, Crew is getting ready to go on Hell Track. And he looks at her, and what does he say?
Hey. God, what I wouldn't give to go ass sliding with you right now.
Anyone in earshot is going, what? What did you and Lori Loughlin do in the woods alone together?
You know what? It's the weirdest callback because I didn't even hear what he said, really. So I do want to mention for anybody who does decide to watch this movie, you have to keep an eye out for Lori Loughlin's stunt double.
It's amazing.
Because it is clearly a guy dressed in her clothes with a really bad wig.
Really bad.
And the camera lingers on him quite long.
Yeah.
You know, when he's riding away from the camera.
Enough that you know it's a man.
Well, yeah, you can totally tell that it's a dude. And, you know, she'll be wearing like tight pants and like a kind of an oversized sweater. And then on him, the pants are really loose and the wig is just terrible.
Yeah. It's really, really bizarre. I mean, because Loughlin, I mean, if nothing else, the best hair of the movie, I think, you know, and this is the 80s when most of the characters have terrible hair. But Lori Loughlin looks amazing. Like she has like this beautiful, like if she were like a female lion, she would have the perfect mane.
I guess. I mean,
really? You don't take the Laughlin hair?
I mean, her hair's fine for the 80s, but I wasn't overly
okay. Well,
impressed.
I'm just like, wow, that hair. It's nothing. It's like, wow, that hair. Like, because she played Annette Funicello's daughter a couple years later in Back to the Beach. Same thing. It's about the hair. It's acting with your hair.
Yeah.
So when she has a stunt double, it's clearly a man wearing a dreadlocked wig on a bike standing in for her. I mean, you're not fooling anybody, movie.
Yeah, and they do a lot of water stunts in this movie.
You can call
which
it.
Is
a lot of falling into water.
It's a lot of falling into water. They'll just take their bikes and ride off a cliff and fall into a lake.
In most movies, it would look like a death scene, but in this, it's like rad, man.
Yeah, they're like, let's have some fun.
They ride their bikes off a cliff and they fall into this pond. I mean, it's a big drop and they're falling in slow motion. Most movies, this would be the death scene. In this movie, it's like, well,
and so you're like, well, there goes her stunt double.
Yeah,
it's so obvious.
He's gonna get his ratty wig wet again.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I don't know what else we want to say about it. I mean,
we should talk about Hell Track, which looks like when you're a kid, you play that game Mousetrap. It looks like that.
It does.
It's an absurd construction because, as you indicated, Julia, like there's an early sequence where they're training for the race and they keep falling into the
well, it's a
water.
Preliminary race to see who's going to actually be in Hell Track.
But it seems like a real race.
It
like
does. Yeah, they actually use real.
It's a hill
in the town.
It's dirt. It's a hill. It's really dangerous. There's all these bikers like slamming into each other. It's very well done. It's a really exciting sequence. And then you get to Hell Track, and it's like this is like Mad Max done with a $13 budget. It's really embarrassing.
Yeah, because the preliminary race, I don't know how long it is, but it's the Hell Track is like in one arena.
Right.
Like if you were to go to a monster truck rally and that space.
Have you ever been to a monster truck rally?
Well,
you did?
No, I've seen it when we went to the fair. We just never paid to go in.
Yeah, I've never been there.
No. We didn't. We heard it, but we didn't go in.
Oh, and we caught dead in a monster truck rally.
Okay.
But anyway, please continue.
Okay, but if that area, like that arena, that size was turned into a BMX bike track, that's basically like the area it would cover. Whereas the preliminary track seemed just more organic and real.
It's weird too because this is supposed to be like BMX biking. It's like macho and awesome. Again, you can't look that way riding a bike, but that's the idea this movie's trying to sell. But this Hell Track, it has like a giant like cereal bowl with a spoon sticking out of it, like with some like Pee-wee's Playhouse whimsy. What are they doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was supposed to be some sponsorship thing, but it's ridiculous.
Wheaties.
Like it doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah.
It really doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I got to say, like, this movie, most of it is montages, and I do kind of adore it because this is like the age of MTV. This movie came out the same year as Madonna's Open Your Heart video, which is one of my absolute favorites. So it's like this movie knew who its audience was. It knew how to present it to its audience. I kind of dig it as a so bad it's good film because it, like, delivers, you know, entertainment on some kind of flat base level. But it's otherwise, it's, you know, it's adorably bad.
Yeah. And let's talk about the ending really quick because I was hoping, you know, Crew's mom sees him in the race. I mean, I don't know if we want to give away the ending.
Well, I mean, I can't imagine anyone listening to this would be shocked to know that the film ends in a positive way. that it doesn't end in a really dark way.
Yeah, basically.
Like, guess I'll study for those SATs now, Mom. Got it practicing filling in those circles with my number 2 pencil.
Okay, so spoiler alert, Crew wins. And you see his mom in the stands and she's really happy for him. And then that's it.
There's no follow through. And by the way, again, like I can't stress enough, like Talia Shire, when this movie came out, I mean, she was the biggest star in the film. Most people my age would probably see the film because like Adrian is in it, Rocky's wife. And like she's barely in this film. She barely has any lines. When they show her in the stands watching her son, clearly she's not reacting to anything. Because at times Talia Shire doesn't even seem to be reacting to anything. Like she's like clearly like they just want some reaction shots to her. She looks really bored.
She's like, why am I here?
Why am I in this movie? I got Rocky 5 like in a few months. Why am I doing this movie?
It's like, where's Sylvester Stallone? This is so lame.
Like God, like BMX biking is just not as good as boxing. But yeah. So the ending.
Yeah.
So the ending. Yeah. There's no like I'm so proud of you. You don't have to take the SATs after all.
No, there's a stupid scene with him and one of the other bikers that is not even worth really talking about.
It's kind of like the ending of Karate Kid where Johnny's like, "You deserve this, LaRusso," and he hands him the trophy.
Was
it's
like
that, but it's not that interesting because again, the conflict between those two, between Crew and the blonde bad guy, it's never really established. Really, I don't know if it got lost in the edit or if they're just like, "Oh man, we forgot to give that guy any lines." So like, there's no point for him to be in the film.
He has no lines. He says like 2 things.
He hangs out, as I mentioned, with these 2 cronies, these 2 twins, and they're both funny because they're both like, you know, it's a twin. It's this twin cliche where they're like they basically share the same mind and they like laugh evil together in sync. They're more interesting, and they also have nothing to do. Like they put all the villainy on Jack Weston's shoulders, and God bless him, it's like there's just no tension in this movie.
Okay, so what on your star rating? Because out of 4 stars, what would you give Rad?
You know, I mean, here's the thing. I saw this thing when I was 13 years old, and it was with my dear cousin Levi. And Levi, I love him very much. He picked this movie out. He was really excited because he knew that
he's older than you.
He's a little bit older than me, yeah. And like Levi, like you know, he knows that I'm, you know, movies are my thing, and always were even when I was a little kid. So he was so excited. He's like, "This is my favorite movie. I always rent it from the video store. I can't wait to show it to you." And I watched it with him, and you know, this is even before like Mystery Science Theater was the thing. But I think my brother and I, particularly me, we were just mocking it nonstop. We just could not take it seriously, even though I was 13 years old. So this isn't even a film that I could say like, you know, if I was 8 years old, I would have loved this. I don't think so. I think this movie always felt corny and cheesy to me. And, you know, looking at it with you the other day, like, I mean, I couldn't stop laughing. It was really hard for me to take. It's
really funny.
Really couldn't take it seriously. I don't know. It's like between watching a YouTube video of an old 80s BMX commercial or watching this movie again, I don't know. I mean, maybe it is the greatest BMX movie ever made. Maybe it is the Citizen Kane of bike movies, maybe. As a guilty pleasure, it's pretty wonderful. But as a movie, I mean, it's pretty inept, especially with the editing. As I said, like, it's very sloppily. When it's not about the montages and it's just scenes of people talking to each other, it's film school bad. Early film school bad. So I'd give it 1 star.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
But I would happily watch it again.
I don't even want to give it any stars, but I would definitely.
Oh, really? Give it 0 stars?
Yeah, I would see it again just because it's hilarious, but it's not good. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I think I give it 0 stars.
Wow. Nothing about it. You didn't like those cool pogo hops on the bike?
No, the pogo stick bicycle stunts were ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, him learning how to do a flip. Now that's cool.
Awesome.
Like, yeah, that
radical.
I would watch that. Mm-hmm. But come on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we should act out what we think the final scene should have been.
Okay. Mom, I did it, Mom. I beat Hell Track.
I am so proud of you, Crew. You know what? I have a change of heart. You've really shown me that there's more to life than the SATs and going to college.
Oh, I'm so glad, Mom, because, like, I can't even read, so, like, I'm so relieved I don't have to go to the SAT test and fill in the little circles with the number 2 pencil. I don't even have a pencil. Oh, thank God, Mom. You're the best, Mom. I just love you so much.
I love you so much, Crew, and you have such a bright future ahead of you.
So bright. Oh my God, bikes, so many bikes. Oh, and that girl with the hair. At least I think she's a girl when she rides ahead of me. It looks like a guy with a wig, but it's okay. It's all right. I love her so much.
And scene.
And then credits. Send me an angel. Ooh.
All right.
Radical.
We did it, babe.
I had fun. I hope you all listening did too.
All right. Catch you next time.
Aloha.